Rebels, it's Laurie. Welcome back to my channel. Today is Year of Happy Review for the month of September, and the theme was personal development. Before we get started, I just want to mention real quick that if you see any wet spots on my shirt, it's because my hair is wet because I just got out of the shower. I did not think this through, but the weather is really nice. The lighting is perfect, so we'll just roll with it. We'll get started with the books that I read, and then the audiobooks I listened to, then also some documentaries I watched, and finally I'll just go over some of the main events of this month as well. So let's start with the books. The first book that I read this month, I'm in love with and I will reread, is The Gifts of Imperfection. Let Go of Who You Think You're Supposed to Be and Embrace Who You Are, Your Guide to a Wholehearted Life by Dr. Brené Brown. And that was the first book that I read of hers, and I fell in love with her work. I love everything that's in this book. It's a really tiny little read, and it's amazing. It's packed with information, and she's a researcher, so it's a lot of so it's not necessarily just based on like her personal experience. It's kind of like all the people she's interviewed, thousands of people she's interviewed and stuff. So it's really, really good, and I absolutely loved everything that was in the book, and I decided I was going to read every single one of her book, and I'm really excited about it. So definitely recommend it. It has to be one of my top 10 books ever. The next book that I read was The Miracle Morning, The 6 Habits That Will Transform Your Life Before 8 a.m. by Elrod. I'm pretty sure this is one of the like classic self-help books, but I read that and it was really, really good. It's not the original cover. It's like I think it's a UK cover or something, so it doesn't usually look like that, but yeah, I got it secondhand on Amazon. So. But it was really good. A lot of insightful stuff. I yet have to start getting up a little bit earlier or be productive a little earlier, but you know, baby steps. So those were the two books that are personal development related that I read this month. I also started, and did not finish yet, reading this Bible. It's really big. It's Taking Charge of Your Fertility, The Definitive Guide to Natural Birth Control, Pregnancy Achievement, and Reproductive Health by Toni Weschler. And I'm not trying to get pregnant or anything, but I heard tons of good stuff about this book, and I've been looking into kind of understanding my cycle now that I got my period back and all of that stuff. I will make a full video dedicated to that. I think it's like the third time I mentioned this book, and I say that I will make a video on it, but I'm waiting to be a little bit more advanced in the book to talk more about it. But it's amazing. So what I've been doing is like basically in the morning I read an informative book like this, and then at night I read one of these books. So that's kind of been what I've been doing lately. And another book that I've been reading, I've actually been reading with Tim, so we sit on the couch and read it together. We read it out loud. It's kind of like reading stories for a kid, but it's just the two of us. Is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart presents Earth, the book, A Visitor's Guide to the Human Race. And it's a hilarious book. We got it for like $4 or $5 at Value Village. It's just full of pictures and anecdotes, and it's hilarious. It's a comedy book, like Daily Show. We watch that together. So when we found that, we were just like, okay, let's just get it. And then like we read a little bit of it every few days, but it's hilarious. Now let's move on to the audiobooks, and once again I have quite a few. Oh my goodness, sorry I look so weird. Alright, so the first book that I listened to this month was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Manson, and it was really good. Once again, I feel like it's kind of became a classic really fast, and it's full of good wisdom, so I plan on probably purchasing a hard copy and rereading it again, just because it's the sort of thing that you need to hear every once in a while. But it was really good. Next is probably one of my like favorite books, and I definitely want to get a hard copy of that one and reread it in the future. It's Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking by Susan Cain. And I watched the TED Talk that she made relating to that book, and it was also really good. But like the book is so full of information, and I honestly would recommend it to any introvert. It's kind of like an introvert Bible, honestly. So it was like really full of information, and it really made me feel less alone in how I feel about like crowds and public speaking and all kinds of introvert problems, I guess. The next book that I listened to was actually free on Audible, because Audible just came out with Audible Canada, and they had like a free version of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I just finished watching the first season online, so I figured I would like read the book to see what actually happened in the book, because I really like to always compare and contrast, and it was really good. It's a special edition and all of that stuff, like the audiobook. So yeah, I was really happy I got to listen to that, because it was really interesting, and even Tim found it really interesting. Like, he always asked me like what happens next in the story and that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm drinking coffee and I feel like I'm talking really fast. The next book that I listened to was The Gift of Anger and Other Lessons from My Grandfather Mahatma Gandhi by Arun Ganhdi, and that was another really good book. Like, this month was full of crazy good books, and I also want to get a hard copy of that one because once again, it has a lot of wisdom and it has a lot of anecdotal life lessons from Mahatma Gandhi. So I really enjoyed it, and I definitely want to reread it in the future. It was also a pretty short book, and it was full of wisdom. Once again, I made really good selections for books this month. The next one wasn't an actual book. It was it's not a speech either, because it was like a 6-session thing. It was The Power of Vulnerability, Teachings of Authenticity, Connections and Courage by Brené Brown. And like I said, I love all of her work, so I was really excited I listened to that this month. But that's not a published book. It's just a kind of like session, and like she talks to a group of people. And she does refer a few things from the Gifts of Imperfections, but it's really good. And like, the teachings from the Gifts of Imperfections are so good, and she referenced stuff from other books that I haven't read yet as well. So it was really good. I feel like I say really good a lot, but this month was full of good stuff, seriously. So yes, I would definitely recommend that one as well. It was a great summary of kind of all the books that she had written up until the point she did that talk. So I would recommend that if you don't want to read every single one of the books. The next book that I listened to this month was The Little Book of Hygge. Hygge? It's a Danish word. The Danish Way to Live Well by Meik, Wiking. He's in charge of the Research Institute on Happiness or something that's based in Denmark, and he's Danish, I think. So he wrote an entire very small and short book on Hygge, which is a concept that's known to the Danes as like, it's really hard to describe in one sentence, but it's basically what makes them so happy, or like the kind of feeling that it is. And it's a really good book. It's really short and it's really informative. I've always been kind of, I won't say passionate, but interested in Danish living ever since I learned that they were the happiest country on earth. We talked about Denmark a few times in my courses over the years, and like how like their infrastructures and everything. And honestly, I would probably move there if it wasn't so cold and dark, because it sounds an amazing place to live. Like, everything there is just very attractive except the weather. So yes, I was really happy I got to learn a little bit more about what makes them happy and how their society like kind of works and why it works so well, I guess. And I'm definitely interested in learning even more about that in the future. Wow, that wet spot is getting worse and worse every minute. I'm sorry, I look so weird. Let's ignore that, okay? It looks like I spilled something on me. Look. Is that better? I zoomed in a little bit so it hides it. Sorry, it's bothering me. Another book I listened to this month was Declutter Your Mind. How to Stop Worrying, Relieve Anxiety, and Eliminate Negative Thinking by S.J. Scott and Barrie Davenport. It was a very short audiobook, and when you get the audiobook, you can also email your Audible receipt, and they will send you a PDF of the entire book, so like the entire book in PDF, so you can follow along, because it's really jam-packed with information. Like, it's a lot of tips and everything, so it's good to have like a paper version or just like a readable version you can refer back, because it's hard to kind of refer back to like the middle of an audiobook. So yeah, so I listened to that, and that was also very interesting, but once again, like I think I kind of had to like read it on paper or like on the iPad or something to really get more information out of it. Finally, I started listening to another book, but I did not finish it yet, and I do have a hard copy, although I'm just listening to it, but I like having a hard copy to refer back to. It's like a used book. I got it for pretty cheap. It's Whole: Rethinking the Science of Nutrition by Colin Campbell, PhD, who's the author of The China Study. And it's a really good book. It's, I feel like I said that so many times, I'm sorry, but it is. It's very different from the other vegan, plant-based books that I read so far, because it's not necessarily focusing on nutrient specific and disease specific. It's really going into details about the scientific process, the research process, and kind of like the politics of research, I guess. So it's really interesting and very different from everything else I've read so far, so I really like it. And yeah, so those are all the books that I listened to and read this month. That was kind of long, I'm sorry, and I said really, really good way too many times. Now, I'll really quickly go over the documentaries I watched this month, because I watched a bunch. So I watched Vaxxed and Pet Fooled. Before anybody just like go all crazy like, the information, whatever. I watched those and did research, independent research outside of the documentary, just to get a better idea. And honestly, I'm not like going crazy over vaccines or like dog food or anything, but I like being informed and kind of being able to make informed decisions rather than just following societal standards. I'm gonna leave it to that for now. If you want to discuss it, let me know and we can make a video on it. I rewatched The Inconvenient Truth by Al Gore. I watched that in high school, like a long time ago. And since the Inconvenient sequel is coming out and I'm really excited to watch it, I figured I would just watch the 10-year rewind, I guess, first. We watched Born in China, that was really good. I watched Plant Pure Nation, which is the only vegan documentary I watched this month. I know that's crazy. And it was also pretty good. And finally, one that was really impressive is Plastic Paradise. And I will link it down below if I can find it, because it was very interesting and eye-opening, and I've been making a lot of changes after watching this documentary. So I definitely recommend that one out of all of them. And Tim and I have been like watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's like a short sitcom that he really likes that's on Netflix. So we've been watching that together because we like doing fun stuff. Another thing Tim and I have been doing is like playing games. So we've been getting a lot of really cheap games at like Value Village or on Amazon and stuff. And we've been playing a lot of board games for some reason, but that's just a lot of fun. I've been slightly MIA for the last couple of weeks with vlogs and stuff because I had an exam. Other things that happened during this month was, like, this month was pretty uneventful, honestly. Like, we got back here the last week of September, and ever since then it's just been like getting used to the schedule again. So we went to Veg Fest on the 10th of September, and it was Tim's birthday on the 17th, so we went home, and I had my final exam on the 29th, so the 2 weeks after his birthday was basically just me studying and cramming. So yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything that happened this month, all the things that I did this month. I will leave it to that, because even though I've been talking really, really fast, and I apologize about that, you can watch it slower if you need to. Because even though I've been talking really fast, it's been going on for 20 minutes, hopefully I can edit that down, but yeah. I will leave it to that for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I apologize once again about this. This is really bothering me. I feel like I should be like this so you can see it. But yeah. I'm really happy to share this journey with you all and be on this year of happy adventure. I've seen so much stuff happen in my life and so much progress, and I'm really happy to see what will happen in the next few months and be able to review on this year, because I honestly see so much progress already. Thanks for watching. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!